return to Memorial Stadium this week with homecoming on the schedule this Saturday. We take a look at the history behind one traditional look for the Hoosiers that will be on display for the game.
Field hockey raising some eyebrows over the weekend, welcoming two ranked teams to Bloomington. We have the highlights coming up. Hoosier Sports Night starts right now.
Welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Lydia Knoll.
And I'm Brandon Pavlina, filling in this week for Juliana Sherry and David Sugarman. There's plenty of exciting things going on this week here in Bloomington with homecoming on tap this weekend. And Lydia, the football game is certainly one of those exciting events to be looking forward to.
Definitely. And speaking of the football game, the team is going to debut their brand new candy-striped uniforms.
The candy stripes began all the way back in the 1920s with the Harlem Globetrotters, first seen on the Globetrotters' tall tube socks and then later seen on their shorts. They weren't brought to IU until the 1960s when Coach Hobby Billingsley and Doc Councilman used the stripes on their swimming and diving uniforms as a way to easily identify the IU athletes. After that, the stripes were adopted by the basketball team, first seen on the team warm-ups in 1971.
We know what the team will be wearing at their game against Nebraska, and Brandon happens to be one of our football reporters. So Brandon, tell us a little bit about what Coach Wilson expects this week.
Yeah, Lydia, Coach Wilson is really expecting Nebraska to bring their A game, but definitely believes that the team has an opportunity if they can, just like in the Michigan State game, get the game into the fourth quarter. And Coach Wilson, in his press conference with the media on Monday, talked about what he is really looking forward to in this matchup against the Huskers.
So top 10 teams coming in, 5-0. Really solid on offense. Three guys running the ball for 60 yards a game, give or take. Both their tailbacks, Newby, I think it's pronounced Ozigbo, I think I'm saying it right. Fast, strong runners. Quarterbacks running for 58 change, 59 yards a game. So three guys at 60 yards a game running the ball for 230, 240. And then Tommy makes them go at quarterback throwing the ball, live arm. So here's, much like last week, it's a really good running attack with good running backs. You add the quarterback into the run game, who's a very, very dynamic runner, and then he's throwing the ball really, really, really well. We've not faced these guys, but you see them from afar. Probably don't know them as well as Ohio State, but there's some similar traits offensively with line play, running game, a great quarterback that can make a lot of plays and speed in the perimeter.
We just heard from Kevin Wilson, but Brandon, who do you think Indiana needs to keep an eye out for this week?
Yeah, Lydia, there's a couple players in particular for Nebraska that the Hoosiers will have to look to keep under wraps because their running game is really effective, and it really is headed by three players, a quarterback, and their two running backs.
You're going to see first here running back Terrell Newby, who would finish this game with 140 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And up next, it's quarterback Tommy Armstrong Jr. He can run it and he can throw it. A tremendous talent that the Hoosiers will have to key on. And then here you're going to see another great run by Newby. Nebraska loves to ground and pound it, and Indiana will have to slow them down to have any chance in this ballgame.
Indiana is coming off of a tough loss on the road to Ohio State this past weekend, falling 38-17.
Yeah, the Hoosiers were able to force several turnovers, but were unable to capitalize on their opportunities. Our very own football reporter, Drew Martin, has highlights from the game.
Defense was the name of the game again for the Hoosiers. When IU takes the lead 3-0 in the first quarter, it was the second time Ohio State has trailed all season.
The crowd was at full force in Ohio Stadium to witness a Big Ten matchup between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. We picked this one up on Ohio State's first drive as a faulty pitch to running back Mike Weber ends up in the hands of defensive lineman Patrick Doherty, giving IU great field position for their ensuing drive. After a made field goal by the Hoosiers, Ohio State responds with an impressive drive of their own down into Hoosier territory, but ends up settling for a field goal to knot it up at 3-3. On to the second quarter we go. Off a broken play, Richard Lego scrambles and the ball is stripped, with Ohio State recovering the fumble. The Buckeyes would go on to score, but the Hoosiers respond with a big play of their own as Ricky Jones takes this one 32 yards down the field. And later on, Lego hits Mitchell Page on a cross route to cut into Ohio State's lead. Late second quarter, Paris Campbell back to return for the Buckeyes, and he takes off trying to weave his way through the kickoff coverage team, and he's off to the races all the way down to the Indiana 6-yard line. And that would lead to an Ohio State touchdown right before half. After the break, third quarter, Indiana puts together arguably its most efficient drive of the game, going 89 yards on 13 plays, with big ones like this from running back Devine Redding, capped off by this 7-yard sling to tight end Danny Friend. The only problem? That would be the last time Indiana saw the end zone for the remainder of the game, as the Ohio State defense shows up big time in the second half, not to mention JT Barrett takes control, running for 137 yards, as Mike Weber and the Ohio State Buckeyes leap past the Hoosiers for their 5th victory on the season and 6th win against Kevin Wilson in his time at Indiana. And although the past couple years have been considerably closer games than history shows between the schools, Coach Wilson says there are no moral victories in coming close, as he and the Hoosiers still look for their first win against the Buckeyes since 1988. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Drew Martin.
Don't forget to catch the game on Indiana's student radio, WIUX 99.1, with Brad Davis and our very own David Sugarman.
The field hockey team was in for quite a challenge this past Friday as they welcomed the number 6 Northwestern Wildcats to the field hockey complex.
In need of a Big Ten win, the Hoosiers came out strong defensively, saving shot after shot from the potent Northwestern offense. However, the Hoosiers were the first to strike with a rebound goal from freshman Sierra Girard, the first of her career. Northwestern was able to even things out in the 23rd minute off a goal from Lily Katzman that just slipped past goalkeeper Noelle Ruta. 26 minutes later, Indiana sophomore Nora Auker scored her first career goal, a high flick after a cross-cage pass from Sam Sheary. After the goal, Indiana's defense took over, and the Hoosiers never looked back. Ruta fended off the Wildcats' attempts to equalize, but to no avail, and the Hoosiers pulled off a wild upset, 2-1 the final. Senior defender Malia Fujisawa said it was great to see the underclassmen's hard work finally paying off in Big Ten play.
Being a senior myself, this is a huge accomplishment. Just seeing where the program was from my freshman year to now, it's really shown just the growth and the development and the future that IUFH has. And I think that this win, it just shows how much impact that AJ has when she's coming in, as well as us responding to her and just working hard during practices. It'll translate into the games.
The Hoosiers hosted their second-ranked opponent of the weekend on Sunday, but this time things did not end well for Indiana. Number 14 Boston College played tight with the Hoosiers until the 60th minute when they scored their second goal, putting the game out of reach for IU. Offensively, Indiana finished the game with 4 shots, 2 of which came from senior Kate Barber. Defensively, Noelle Ruta earned Defensive Player of the Week honors in the Big Ten for her 17 saves over the course of the weekend.
Men's soccer suffered their very first loss of the season last week, falling 4-0 to Notre Dame. However, since then they've been on a tear. Juliana Sherry is out on the pitch with their recent success.
The Indiana Hoosiers men's soccer team returned home on Saturday to face Big Ten rival Penn State after losing on the road to the number 2 team in the nation, Notre Dame, 4-0. The Hoosiers started off fast, peppering Penn State goalkeeper Evan Finney with 5 shots in the first 35 minutes. Then in the 36th, finally connecting was redshirt sophomore Corey Thomas, putting in the first goal of his career and giving the Hoosiers the 1-0 lead going into halftime. The Nittany Lions fought tough throughout the game, sending shots at Colin Webb 12 times, including this shot that would have gone in if not for the foot of Jeremiah Gutierrez. Although the Hoosiers got off 8 shots in the second half, the game ended with the Hoosiers taking a 1-goal victory. Evan Finney saved the Nittany Lions from a larger goal deficit by making 4 saves, and Colin Webb recorded his 27th career shutout for the Hoosiers. Indiana went on to face the number 2 team in the nation on Tuesday, defeating Louisville 2-1 on the road. Although the 2 teams were tied up at halftime, a penalty kick in the 45th minute allowed Trevor Schwartz to score the game winner. The win over Louisville gave Indiana their third win against ranked opponents this season and handed the Cardinals just their second loss this year. For IUS TV, I'm Juliana Sherry.
The two-game swing improved Indiana's record to 8-1-4 and 2-0-3 in conference play. Indiana will face Ohio State on the road this Saturday.
The women's soccer team played to a 1-1 draw against 13th-ranked Penn State last week, and it didn't get any easier for the Hoosiers as they played host to 24th-ranked Rutgers on Sunday. Bailey Bowles was at the game as Indiana tried to get its third Big Ten win of the season.
It only took 10 minutes for the Scarlet Knights to get on the board when Madison Tiernan snuck one past the Hoosiers' defense for the score. 4 minutes later, Tori Prager's shot was just outside the reach of Indiana keeper and Big Ten Freshman of the Week Sarah Lamadou, which gave Rutgers the 2-0 lead. Not backing down, redshirt senior Marissa Borschke fought for possession and was tackled by Aaron Smith inside the box, earning Smith a yellow card and Borschke a penalty kick. The kick was good, Rutgers still leading 2-1. Later in the first half, Veronica Ellis crossed the ball over to Cassidy Blaka, who had her shot saved by Rutgers goalie Alana Jimenez. However, freshman Sydney Kilgore was there for the rebound and her first goal of her career. Moving on to the end of the second half, Lamadou earned a yellow card in the 75th minute after she tackled Rutgers' Jennifer Andreessen. Lamadou managed to stop the Scarlet Knights from scoring, leaving this one still at 2-2. Neither team could score in the remaining 15 minutes of regulation, so the game went into overtime where neither team could capitalize. In double OT, sophomore Maya Piper had a great look in the 105th minute, but the ball hit the crossbar and was no good. So this one ended in a draw, 2-2. Sarah Lamadou finished the game with 8 saves and now has 72 on the season, which is the most in the Big Ten. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Bailey Bowles.
The Hoosiers' next match will take place on Thursday as Indiana will travel to Columbus to take on Ohio State, who hasn't lost in nearly 3 weeks.
The wrestling season begins in just a couple weeks, and 2 Indiana wrestlers are already making headlines. All-American Nate Jackson returns to the Hoosier squad in the 174 class, ranking number 5 in the nation according to Wrestling Insider News and number 4 according to the OpenMat.com. He finished the 2015 and 16 season with a 35-9 record, a 4th place finish at the Big Ten Championships, and 5th place at the NCAA Championships. His teammate Elijah Oliver posted a 32-10 record last year at the 125 weight class, finishing 5th in the Big Ten Championship and qualifying for the NCAA tournament as well. Wrestling Insider News ranks him at 16, and the OpenMat.com ranks him as 20, as the sophomore looks to improve on last year's finish. The wrestling team opens the season in a double duel on November 3rd. Its home opener will be against a ranked Wisconsin team in Big Ten play on the 9th of December.
Although the football game is the main attraction, there will be plenty of other Hoosier sports in action this weekend.
Yeah, Brandon, and at these other events, you can earn points through the Crimson Guard app. The points can earn you food, spiritware, and better seats at the basketball and football games.
Here are some of the games that you can attend to earn Crimson Guard points. The Indiana basketball season is rapidly approaching, and with it comes Hoosier Hysteria, which kicks off on October 22nd.
That's right, and the men's basketball team took a business trip to the Big Apple earlier this week. They practiced at the HSS Training Center where the Brooklyn Nets practice, and the world-famous arena, Madison Square Garden.
That's right, Lydia, and the current Hoosiers are not the only ones putting in work in New York right now, as Kevin Yogi Ferrell has been playing extremely well in the preseason for the Brooklyn Nets, and our own David Sugarman has some highlights from camp.
After dazzling the Big Ten with his passing skills the last 4 years, Yogi Ferrell made his way onto the Brooklyn Nets Summer League team and is fighting for a roster spot in the preseason. In the fourth quarter of the Nets' first game against Detroit, IU's all-time assist leader setting up his teammate for a 3-ball. Then, 3-ball of his own? Why not, says the rookie, who rattles this one home with ease. Then Yogi, working his magic into the forbidden forest, gets the layup to go amongst the trees. Next, the former Hoosier point man took a trip of his own to the Garden. Off the turnover here, leading the fast break, and then throws the pretty lob pass to Sean Kilpatrick. So nice, we're going to have to look at it twice. Ferrell developing chemistry with his new teammates quickly, looking like the Ferrell to Williams connection of old. The rookie helping his rookie head coach Kenny Atkinson get the ball rolling. For IUS-TV Sports, I'm David Sugarman.
Troy Williams, along with Yogi Ferrell, able to make an NBA roster. He'll be suiting up for the Memphis Grizzlies this year. And we want to congratulate both of them on making the teams and also wish them tremendous rookie campaigns.
We'll be following along with both of these players as well as the current Indiana sports. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, IUS-TV Sports, as well as follow our Twitter handle at IUS-TV Sports.
For Hoosier Sports Night, I'm Brandon Pavlina.
And I'm Lydia Knoll.
We'll see you next week.